Let's get back to our regular show. We're talking about the vaping today, and the question is it time for a ban on flavored e-cigarettes? Let's go to Maria Dewick, who's calling from Port Hope, Ontario.
Hi, Duncan. How are you today?
I'm doing well, Maria. What do you think about banning vaping?
I think that, first of all, in all due respect, there were a lot of misunderstandings and misconceptions that have been shared throughout most of this show. When Jane spoke, who I followed her story through the CBC over the last week or 10 days, she said very strong words. And as someone who has owned vape stores since 2013, and to be clear, vaping has been around since 2002, so that's 17 years, if I did my math correctly. So vaping has been around for a long time. Flavors are really important. There's a great study that Chris Lalonde out of the University, Chris Lalonde out of BC has been doing through Rights for Vapors, showing how important flavors are for adult smokers to stop smoking. And you also mentioned about the David Hammond study. And if you actually broke down the numbers on the David Hammond study, his number of 72% comes out of 63 youth, because his numbers were not, were all the way, I think it was 21. And when you see the report from StatsCan came out, the smoking numbers for youth have gone down. So you know what, as it's always been in vaping, there's a little bit of this from one side and a little bit of that, and we're still not understanding what's going on.
So what is going on then, from your perspective then, Maria?
From my perspective is there's a lot of misinformation being shared about vaping for adult smokers. Kids are closing their ears, not listening to what public health is telling them. So what's going on is these kids, and I'll be honest with you, they're trying to get vape stuff from vape stores, but every single specialty vape store in the province of Ontario, we are not allowed to have any kids inside of our store.
But it seems to me, as a vape retailer, you've got a bit of a problem on your hands right now, Maria. So what do you suggest that your industry should do in terms of trying to keep these things out of the hands of youth?
Well, there's a couple of things that we have been trying to do. Continue to enforce TVPA properly, so the tobacco vape. So it's interesting, we're talking about vaping and regulations, but it's the Tobacco Vaping and Products Act. Okay. And in that act, it's actually illegal to have anything on an e-liquid, and we call it e-liquid, not juice, because juice is for kids, right? So anything on an e-liquid, it's illegal to have any imagery or any type of branding that would be attractive to kids. And those fines are so prohibitive, and inspectors are going out.
Are they being enforced right now, Maria?
Absolutely, 100%. If you go on, there have been a couple of recalls because there's a little rabbit the size of maybe smaller than your pinky finger at the label, and they're removing it. What's not being enforced on the federal level is the selling to minors. Currently, there's that's left to the provinces, and I can only speak on the province I live in. So when we look at the city of Toronto, because I have a store there as well, you're looking at 19 tobacco enforcement officers for the city of Toronto, which also do vape stores. I think it's time that...
So you'd like to see more enforcement officers then, who are going in and checking on the corner stores, the gas stations, for example, to see whether they're selling to you?
Absolutely. I have a store here. I live in Coburg. I have a shop in Port Hope. There's a store on the corner just down the street from my house. And they can't do anything because provincial tobacco enforcement officers don't have search and seize. They don't have the ability to actually stop a kid when they're walking out there. They don't have the ability to say, can I see your video footage if you sold to a kid? But on the federal level, and if you read TVPA, you'll see that the inspectors have those. And we're not doing everything we can as a country, as Health Canada, and as Minister Petticoat Taylor asked us not to sell to minors. Well, she needs to help us out a little bit and actually instruct her federal inspectors to start enforcing that.
And I should let you know, we asked the minister if she'd be on the show today. Unfortunately, she wasn't available, but so I can't put that question to her directly. But you mentioned that there has been prohibitions under the Act in terms of putting pretty pictures on the labels, for example. But what about the vapor who is just trying to figure out what is in the e-liquid? Like the ingredients in the e-liquid, that also doesn't appear to be on the labels.
Yes, it is on the label. Most manufacturers. So here's the thing, Duncan. What people don't understand, and I'm so tired, and I'm going to be honest with you, and it is so heartbreaking, the misunderstanding of someone who got into this industry. To hear that teacher make the assumption that we got into it and we're buying Ferraris. I mean, he didn't say that, but you know what I mean. And it's not. Almost every single person that is in this industry, and it's grassroots, and let's just not talk about tobacco and Juul because they're not us. They are not the independent vape store owner. They're not the independent person who found vaping through some underground market back in 2010 and found it and wanted to share it with people because you know what? We take our job seriously. And no one ever, this is probably one of the first of many times that I could count on the fingers, on one hand, that we're able to be part of the conversation.
You know what, Maria? I'm really glad you're part of the conversation. So thank you very much for phoning today. I appreciate it.
And so, here's the thing.
Going to have to cut you off there. Health officials across North America have been raising red flags about the potential health risks associated with vaping